Oh, there he is.
David Jake has made it to your private boudoir. What are you selecting for us today?
Well, I thought it's Thanksgiving, so let's have a little celebration and maybe a little glass of fizz. You can choose champagne or English sparkling wine. We do some great ones. And maybe, you can add some orange juice if you want to.
Okay. Or just orange juice with fizzy water if you're not drinking.
If you're not drinking.
Very good.
No taste.
So, thank you. Any excuse. Today's confession comes from Sam. Simon and the team. This confession goes back to my time specifically as a fresh-faced apprentice in a metal workshop in the late 90s. Before we start, I'd like to apologise in advance to anyone having their tea, as the content might be slightly unsavoury, but all will become clear. The year is 1998, and as a young man forging his way in the world, I took an apprenticeship in a metal testing workshop. The day-to-day duties generally included lots of milling, machining and heating up of various test samples, all fueled by copious amounts of Yorkshire tea. There were furnaces aplenty, and it was hot and heavy work. I was the youngest there by some distance, the rest of the gentlemen there being of the good old boys variety, all having 20 or 30 years apiece in the business, much, much older than me. Keen to make a good impression, I was like a whirlwind, rushing from one job to the next. One of my first jobs was to take the van and go around this large site and collect the large, heavy test samples. On this particular day, it was fantastically warm, and having on jeans and a t-shirt beneath my thick, fire-retardant overalls, heavy boots and gloves, I was soon generating quite a sweat by the time, when I was loading the van by hand. As you can imagine, this was heavy work. Getting back to the machine shop, I nipped into the locker room for a quick wash before getting back at it. I was pleasantly surprised to find a hand towel already laid out on the edge of the sink, perfect for my needs. Naively thinking, what a great company this was to lay on the wash gear.
Yeah.
Well, I went to work. No nook or cranny was left undried.
He did that.
I started with my feet, each toe in between, and I worked my way up.
Okay, you don't need any more.
All the sweatiest bits.
Yes, no room's done.
Full treatment as I went about giving myself a proper buffing.
Right.
I think that's the right word.
It is. It's fine.
Because that's what
yeah, absolutely.
Polishing the silver.
Yeah, dictionary definition. But do move on.
Yes.
The small towel was doing the work of a big shower towel, I have to say, but I finished clean and dry, which could not be said for the well-employed towel, which was now very damp and, shall we say, well-used, shop-soiled, in fact. As I finished up, the door to the locker room burst open, and before I could ask where the used towels went, I was hurriedly dragged out to attend to a broken machine. Twisted metal and cutting teeth were everywhere, and the towel was soon forgotten as we made good our repairs. Feeling pleased with doing my bit and showing the old guard I was of some use, we headed to the locker room to wash for the break time. At the sink stood our foreman, Keith, or Big Keith as he was known, because he was called Keith and he was quite big.
Yeah.
He was a man of few words and of a sober disposition. He was having his wash before he sat down for a well-earned ham sandwich. He knew how to live, did Big Keith. I asked one of the old chaps, where do the company towels go after we've used them? Which brought a loud round of guffaws. No such thing, lad, I was told. Everyone brings their own towel, was his reply. And as he spoke these words, the truth dawned. At the exact moment that foreman Big Keith reached out for the towel, his towel, that I had so vigorously become acquainted with just a few hours before. To my horror, he grabbed the shop-soiled towel and began drying his hands, and then, I have to say, I'm afraid, dear listener, his face. The words, no, stop, don't use that, were in my throat, but didn't actually pass my lips in time to avoid the moist scene before me. Quite how he didn't realise the second-hand nature of what he was using, that it was certainly not in the pristine condition he had left it, is frankly astonishing. So in a way, it's his fault for not seeing the evidence of his own eyes. You see, it was Keith's custom to keep his towel out on the edge of the sink in readiness for wash time. Indeed, a few of the old boys had similar peculiarities and habits, and Keith's was widely known, except to myself, because I was indeed the new boy. I have never told anyone about the defiling of one man's hand towel back in the 90s, and although he will still be ignorant of the violation carried out on his person, I beg Big Keith's forgiveness, because I was a keen young lad, a little wet behind the ears, and a few other places that unfortunately I cannot mention just at this moment. Sam's Tale, Sister Susie live from the private bar.
Sam, well, I feel for you because, one, they should have told you if you needed to bring your own towel. So I feel like that should have been, in the manual before you started. But it's just, I think it's too disgusting. And I think you could have told him and you didn't tell him. And I wouldn't want anyone's dirty towel near my face. So I can't forgive you for that reason.
You would have thought you would just have noticed that, in fact, it had kind of other marks. On the towel.
Maybe his eyes closed.
Yeah.
Maybe his eyes were closed.
Maybe. Brother from another gutter.
Well, I mean, I was definitely going to not forgive with all the nook and cranny talk, but I'm probably going to forgive, and for the same reason as Susan, it's the system. It's the system that's wrong. What's the point of having a communal bathroom where you leave your towels out? Because then anyone could use your towel. Surely you need a locker for your towel, and don't have some system where you're leaving your towel where it could be used by other people, unless maybe Big Keith was happy for other people. We don't know. Maybe Big Keith was an open-minded kind of guy. Like, no, please use
nothing
mine.
Nothing more.
Shop-soiled
towel.
There's a shop-soiled towel all over my face. That's what I like. And for that reason, I'm going to forgive.
Okay, so interestingly argued, I think.